department will bring it back and put it on the agenda.
Okay, so at this point, he wanted to discuss it with the client.
Yeah, so we're just table it at this point to give him some
Table.
opportunity to look at it.
Great. And do you think he knows that that the board's interested in being moved, slated away from the pool as opposed to being close to the pool?
I don't know, but since Mr. Halsey's on for our second hearing on this evening, perhaps we can have a discussion, or you can just return to that when he is part of that part of our meeting and give him a heads up on that. I don't think
Sure.
that, and we can actually at that time find out whether or not he would like some time to
Revise it or not?
revise it, or if he wants it back on the agenda for a decision.
Great. So we can do that after that's great. We'll do that. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy Lynn. Okay, moving down, we have item 5 is the minutes. So we have draft minutes of October 13th, 2020. I reviewed these and they look fine to me. Do we have a motion, board members, to approve these?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the Zoning Board of Appeals dated October 13th, 2020.
I'll second that.
I'll concur.
I was recused.
Okay, and I concur as well. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tim. Thank you all. Okay, next we'll move to item 6, adoption of resolutions. We'll start off with Gerard Drive Realty.
This is the modification.
I didn't pull all these up, right? Oh, shoot. You still there?
This was for 229 Gerard Drive in Springs.
Right,
Tax map
sanitary,
300.
sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Go ahead, Nancy Lynn.
Tax map 300-42-2-7.
Thank you. And Roy, why don't you take over, Roy? You know what this is
Sure.
all about.
Sure. The request to modify from the applicant was approving the relocation of the existing 1.5-story house and installation of a new sanitary system on a parcel of land containing beaches and wetlands. And if you remember, there was a fourth wall that was in question, and we approved that wall. So the proposed modification is the applicant has submitted a modification request to allow an additional sanitary retaining wall as approved by Suffolk County Department of Health standards. So I make a motion to approve the modification for Gerard Realty Associates, Suffolk tax map number 300-42-2-7.
Are
Second.
you adopting the resolution as written?
Yes. Thank you.
I will also second that.
And I concur.
And I concur as well. Okay, thank you, Roy. Okay, we'll move along now. The next is Michael Schultz, and I pulled this Tam up. This is,
Can we go back to
sorry.
member Johan was
Oh.
part of that discussion. So do you also concur?
I concur.
Thank you.
oh, I apologize.
No.
I thought
Wait a
Ed,
minute.
sorry.
I thought Ed
The
wasn't.
modification we discussed.
Oh, the
at
modification,
meeting last
okay.
week, so he
Yeah, we
wasn't.
discussed it
voting
last
on it.
week. Great.
Okay.
Yep, okay, that's great. Thank you, Nancy Lynn.
Trying to get him in here when we can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, we'll move on to the next. We have Michael Schultz, and this is the property location is, excuse me. Oh, where am I missing it here? Oh, yeah.
This one's in Montauk. It's 1 North Surfside Avenue.
Yeah, why am I not? Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Thank you. Here, I have it. 1 North Surfside Avenue, up in Montauk, and tax map number 300-51-1-2-7. And Britton Bistrian was the agent on this, and this was to construct a 407 square foot swimming pool, 440 square foot pool deck, pool equipment fence, window well, walkway, and driveway on a parcel of land within 150 feet of wetlands. And this is in Board Member Berger's district. Terry?
Yeah, so you will recall this, this is the pool, and there was a concern about some runoff that really comes down from the north on the street and the northern properties. And this applicant was going to do a little additional dry well and revegetation on the north side of the property in order to help mitigate that, even though it does not directly impact the pool. This was a decision that we all concurred on. And so I make a motion for Michael Schultz at 1 North Surfside, 300-51-2-7 to approve the resolution as written.
Second.
Concur.
And I concur as well. Okay, thank you.
You know, I didn't get these didn't come out on my printout of the agenda. It's really weird.
They're on the agenda. Unfortunately, they were not on last Friday. So if you printed out your agenda earlier than last Friday, they wouldn't be on there.
Okay.
Okay, so the next we have William Shea and the William Shea 2013 Trust. And this is at 65 Beach Avenue in Amagansett, tax map number 300-177-1-22. And this was to construct a 96 square foot swimming pool within jurisdiction of setbacks and freshwater wetlands, dunes and dune vegetation, and to allow the existing conforming decking to remain and swimming pool decking within side yard and lot line setbacks. And I believe this was just last week, and we discussed this, and you recall there was a scenic easement at the rear of the property involved in this too. I don't have it open at this time. I believe, were we unanimous on this one, Nancy Lynn?
Yes.
I thought we were, okay.
Yes.
So I will make a motion, board members, to approve the determination of as written for the William Shea and the William Shea 2013 Trust at 65 Beach Avenue in Amagansett.
Second.
I'll concur.
We'll give the second to the vice chair on that one. He was quick.
Yeah, so was I, but okay.
All right. I'll give
Give the next one to you.
you
Terry.
the next one, Terry. Tie goes to the vice chair.
The next two are different motions.
Okay. Next, we'll move on. Item D is 6 Maple Street LLC. And I apologize. I just want to open this one up. Let's see.
Be a surprise. It's 6 Maple Street,
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Montauk.
Oh, yeah, I have it there. Good. I have, okay, so this, pardon
It's
me.
also Terry's.
Yeah, this is also Terry, yeah.
Yes, the last two are.
Yeah, this is up at 6 Maple Street in Montauk, tax map number 300-87-2-39.1. And Terry, you want to take over from here on this, the description and all?
Yeah, well, you remember this is a property that is in common ownership, 2 properties, and there was a pool on the second property, and it's for a variance. They're going to cut back some of the patio and get a variance, and in the future, if the other lot, the lot with the pool, containing the pool, gets sold, that they are willing to covenant that they will remove the pool from the property. And also by town code, a house would have to be built on that property or the pool removed within 9 months. This was a unanimous approval also by the board. So for 6 Maple Street, Montauk, New York, tax map 300-87-2-39.1, make a motion to approve the resolution as written.
I'll second.
Concur.
And I concur as well. Thanks, Terry. Okay, our final one here, we have another Montauk, Bettina Barrington McCarthy, tax map number 300-28-5-10. And this, excuse me, physical location is at 27 Fairfield Drive in Montauk. And the application was to allow an existing 412 square foot deck to remain within jurisdiction and minimum setbacks of freshwater wetlands. And Terry, you want to take over, please?
Yeah, give me the tax map on it.
Sure.
I don't-
It's 300.
328,
28, yeah,
510.
510, okay.
Yep, thanks, Nancy.
All right, so you probably all recall this is an applicant that had been in front of us and then had a survey that they received from the building department originally that indicated or that had the decking on the C of O. However, the permit for that did not include it, and there was some changes made to the decking and making it a little bit larger and redoing some of the steps in front of it. This was also a unanimous decision by the board. So in the matter of Bettina Barrington McCarthy at 27 Fairfield Drive in Montauk, tax map 300-28-5-10, make a motion to approve the resolution as written.
Second?
Concur?
And I concur as well. Okay, thank you, Terry. Okay, that concludes that portion of our agenda. We just have about 1 or 2 minutes before 6:50. I just want to discuss, Nancy Lynn and I and the planning department this afternoon, we were just discussing the remainder meetings. As you all know, we have October 27th, and then in November, we only have November 10th and 17th because of the election day and the Thanksgiving holiday. And then we have 3 in December, the 1st, the 8th, and the 15th. So we were discussing, since we're pretty well caught up on a lot of these things, we were discussing, we have 3 public hearings on the 27th, and we were thinking we have about 6 applications that are post-hearing decisions to discuss. And the idea would be to add 2 or 3 of these to the 27th. And then we have, on the 10th, we have 4 public hearings. So we probably would not add any there, but on the 17th of November, we would have a work session where we could handle the remainder. And we are thinking of adding in 2 public hearings into the 17th, just to get, kind of keep things moving and get, because we believe we might have some time at that work session. So board members, are you okay with doing that? Are you comfortable with that?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
Great.
it's fine with me.
Same here.
Yeah,
You okay, Terry? Okay.
yeah.
Okay, we're just doing our good deeds here, moving things along,
Yes.
moving these
That's not,
applications.
that's not Thanksgiving week, right?
No,
it's
no,
not.
you're off Thanksgiving week. Yeah.
Yeah, this would be the 17th. Yeah, so basically these would be added on to our 27th of October, which would be next week, and the 17th, because of November 10th, we have 4 public hearings, but perhaps if something gets canceled or whatever on the 10th, we could always perhaps fit 1 or 2 in there.
We have
If I
3
may-
next week.
Sure.
Yeah.
Roy?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I notice in our next hearing, the public files that were listed on the site,
Yeah,
is an addendum to the TAM that does not belong there. I thought maybe either Brittany or Eleni might correct that. It's a so the
Yeah.
NASTR addendum to the TAM is in that file. So you might want to do is move that out.
Yeah, I just noticed that too. It's in
Oh,
the
good.
proto file.
yeah. Okay, thank you, Roy.
I'll make a note
Okay,
of that.
great. That brings us right up to 6:50 or 6:51, I believe, right? So.
Yep.
Excuse me. So we can move forward now with our public hearing. I'll read that in. The applicant is Henry Proto, and the lot size and location is 20,649 square feet at 835 Montauk Highway, Montauk Beach Development Corps at map number 1013, Montauk tax map number 300-52-1-10.3. And the description is to allow a stone staircase and rock wall to remain within 100 feet of wetlands and to construct a fence of varying heights within 100 feet of a wetland. Excuse me. The relief sought here is a natural resources special permit pursuant to section 255-4-20 and 3 variances from section 255-4-30 wetland setbacks. The variances of 47 feet and 50 feet are required to allow an existing staircase and an existing rock wall to remain 53 feet and 50 feet from the wetlands where 100 feet is required, and 1 variance of 50 feet is required to allow the construction of a 6-foot fence 50 feet from the wetlands where 100 feet is required, and any other relief necessary from the East Hampton Town Code. This is in a B residence zone. The flood zone is X, and the secret class is type 2. And council, do we have proper affidavit of service and posting?
I have an affidavit of mailings on October 9th and posting also on October 9th. So the paperwork appears to be in order.
Okay, thank you. And this is once again in board members, actually it's board members Berger and Johan. And I believe, Terry, did you did the field report here, or you both?
Yeah, I did the photos, so I'll do this one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so this is the official notice and posting. This is right down below the property, in front of the property on Montauk Highway, Route 27, was properly posted. It's just a shot to just jog everyone's memory. You can see the community church across the street and the Route 27 heading east there. And there's a for sale sign, but I believe that is for the residents next door. Next. This is the entrance to the driveway. It's a shared driveway, and the house you see there is actually the property to the east. It was the applicant's wife's property that had been built several years ago, and they share that common driveway. Next. Okay, he's a little out of order. Now we're looking down Route 27 into downtown Montauk. Next. And this is the proto house, you see the garage, and the truck is parked on the northerly side where part of the rock wall in question you can see there, and then leading up toward the west, and the steps that are in question for the application. Next. It's a closer look at it, and you can see the beginning of the other wall here, which is part of the steps. Next. And I believe all of this is in question for the 6-foot fencing, but the agent can address that specifically. And these are the stone steps that were not approved in the original determination, but were put in and is requiring the variance. Next. Now walk to the back of the property, to the westerly part of it, and this is shot in toward the wetlands there on the northerly side, northwestern side. Next. So this is a shot along that northerly wall where they're asking for the fencing and the rock wall approval. You can see our newest member of the board out there in the distance. And next. So now I just turned a little bit from that previous shot, and there is a fence already here that maybe the agent can address when they say they're looking for approval to put a fence. I don't know what this fence is, but it did look like deer fencing already. I wasn't sure of the height. Next. It's just another show. Turn to look at the property that's actually on Essex Street and to the northwest and toward in that wetland area. There is a scenic easement that the applicant did provide from based on the previous determination, but that's one of the other affected neighbors. And again, you can see fencing. I don't think all of that is the applicant's. Not sure. Okay, next, and this is a final shot, give you a good perspective on the rock, well, not the rock wall, but the original retaining wall that was done with this property. You see how steep it is. And I believe that's it. Is that it? This is a shot it turned toward the house there. And getting toward the, I guess, southeasterly direction of the back of the house. And I believe that's it.
Could you, thanks, Terry. Could you go back the slide with the retaining wall that, yeah, right there. So is this the wall where the building department, which it certainly does look dangerous, it's well over 30 inches. Is this the wall where they're asking to have a fence, a guardrail fence?
I believe so, and I'm not sure about the
Lenny
stairs
can
also,
also.
but Lenny can address it, or the agent.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Thank you, Terry. Any questions, board members? For Terry?
Nope.
No? Okay. Okay, I believe Lori Wiltshire is the agent. Lori, you there?
I am.
Good evening, Lori. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Lori, I will swear you in before we get started. If you please, do you swear to, oh my gosh, I'm losing my words here. Do you swear to tell the, what am I saying, Nancy? Do you swear to tell the, there's something, swear or affirm to tell the
The
truth?
whole truth,
Yeah,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth. Thank you, Tim. I lost it. Lori,
Yes, I do.
thank you. Please continue.
All right, great. So the technical assessment memo dated July 31st of 2020 summarizes the history of this property quite well, but it does not specifically review or object to the minor accessory structures that are part of this pending application, specifically a rock wall, a staircase, and some fencing. The rock wall was constructed to delineate the edge of clearing, grading, and ground disturbance, and to keep landscapers from mowing in the non-disturbance area near the scenic easement or in the wetlands. Rocks are a natural material, as you know, and do not cause siltation or chemical leachate that could negatively impact the wetlands. The rock wall was installed in lieu of a post and rail fence. The property has significant slopes and would have required terracing and several retaining walls to contain the earth. But Groundworks Landscaping, after checking with the East Hampton Building Department, was able to construct a short staircase on the northerly side of the house to traverse the slope and hold back the soil above it. The rock wall also acts as a retaining wall where the hill and the driveway meet, as you can see from the attached photos, which I submitted ahead of time, obviously. It's instead of putting retaining walls, they're using the rock wall to retain the soil behind it, so it's not falling into the driveway, but also to delineate the area behind it. The 4-foot fence that's proposed above the retaining wall of the septic system is required by the building department for safety purposes because of the sheer drop created by the wall itself. Meanwhile, the 6-foot fencing is intended to keep the deer off the remaining unusable part of the property. Apparently, they live in the wetlands behind the house and have taken to eating the Proto's landscaping for breakfast each day. I think that's why Henry installed a temporary fence while we waited for this hearing, because they were just decimating the new landscaping. None of these structures, by their very nature or their makeup or location, pose any risk to the wetlands. Most of them are on the opposite side of a hill from the wetlands, and runoff would be toward the street. Most of these structures will actually impede runoff towards the road. And it's for these reasons that we feel the variances requested for these minor accessory structures should be granted.
I got a question.
Yeah.
I don't understand how a rock wall can be misconstrued for a fence.
No, this is what happened. The company Groundworks Landscaping realized
you started off saying that a rock wall is like a substitute for a fence. When this property has gone under scrutiny with the zoning board before, NRSPs, denials, how does a rock wall get substituted for a fence?
Because Groundworks Landscaping realized they had a terracing issue in order to do the development of the property, to carve out the driveway, etc., because of the slopes, and went to the building department, and they were told they could use rocks to create the to hold back the soil. So instead of putting the fence up, they put the rock wall up. And that also acts as the barrier towards the more sensitive part of the property behind it.
And you mentioned that they also talked to the building department about building the stone staircase and planters and all of that?
Correct. That's right. I don't know about planters. I don't know anything about
Well,
planters.
the returns or whatever, it's quite a structure there. And I'm surprised the building inspectors wouldn't say you're within jurisdiction. That's, you should go across the hall to the planning department and,
They must have
Lori, do you know
overlooked
who
it.
they spoke to in the building department?
yeah.
All I know about, Dawn Green's the one that recommended the 4-foot fence above the retaining wall. That's the only name I have. I'm not sure Groundworks gave me a name of who they talked to.
That was on the one that's elevated.
Yeah,
The
Yeah.
staircase, yes.
But they stated that they talked about the stairs. That's what I'm getting at. They stated that they
Yes.
discussed the stair with the building department.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's kind of
Well,
surprising to me.
Lori, is there anything that they have from the building department where we can follow up?
I can ask them that. I haven't have been in touch with them personally. I was relayed this information from the owner.
So let me understand that the building department requested a fence on the retaining wall that we saw in the picture.
that's
No.
on the
Did they,
steep one.
did they approve the rock wall?
So the rock wall is a landscaping feature intended to hold back.
Yeah, but that's separate from any NRSP in the past. It's a separate from the approvals that was given on this property. It can't landscaping feature, and then you're building deer fence because you landscaped it wrong. I mean, with
They
with
landscaped
deer
it
eating
wrong?
plants. Well, yeah, you put in deer fencing on an NRSP jurisdiction too, because deer are eating plants.
Well, everything is
It
50
seems
feet away
like-
from
it
the
seems like-
wetlands.
It just
I know
seems like this was gone with it's gone without regard for an NRSP.
I don't think that the landscaping company was taking into consideration the NRSP. I think they were thinking about the terrain and what they needed to do to deal with the terrain. I don't think it was contemplated when this application was before the board initially, and that when they're in the field trying to put this together, they're realizing they have a big grading problem. And that's why we ended up with this gigantic concrete retaining wall for the septic system, and then also with a rock wall and some stairs to hold back soil and enable the owners to get between like the driveway and the backyard, because there was no way to do that.
Well, on your topography, if you go into the stairwell there, you
Yep.
see the 50-foot contour, Lori, at the bottom of the steps,
I do.
and your survey is showing, let's see, what's happening to the 54-foot line.
The 55.
But
and
in
then-
other
yeah.
words, you're going up 6 feet. You're going up, if you look up where the 56, up to the left of where it says propane, maybe Eleni, or who's doing the screen? Maybe Eleni can zoom in a little bit.
I can see it.
Yeah, but just
Whoops.
for what
No, I
I'm looking
can't.
at. So I'm talking topography, and my point is, it seems like this all should have been worked out. I did not approve this application actually, but it seems like this should have been worked out, excuse me, when it was in the planning stages, because it's clear that you're going from a 50 feet to a 56-foot
Mhm. Yep.
topography. And I don't know why that couldn't have just been a grade from 50 to 56.
It's very
planting.
steep. Look how close the lines are together. Very steep.
Well, this
That was known from the beginning.
that was
Yeah.
known from the beginning, and also,
Sure. Sure.
yeah. Anyway,
Well,
That-
a lot
my
of
point is that
times,
this normally is addressed when you're designing the structure and the house and the foundation. Is my point, and you know that, Lori.
I'm well aware of it. I had nothing to do with installing any of these landscaping features. I
Yeah.
think they felt the stairs were exempt because they're 4 feet wide, which is often the case. Walkways and staircases that are 4 feet wide do not require permits because they're for access.
They actually look a lot wider than that when you take into account the sides and all that. Anyway, the interior treads might be 4 feet, but anyway,
Well, except they
Understood.
need a variance and they're part of the NRSP also.
right.
Jurisdiction.
Correct. That's right. And that's why we're here before you. So, I mean, I don't think that any of these, like I said, structures are detrimental to the wetlands, which is why we need the NRSP and the variances. The
Mhm.
topography is leaning towards not the wetlands. It's going the opposite way. It's going towards the driveway. So I don't think there's going to be any siltation effect of any form. And in fact, I think the rock wall is going to help to stop runoff from the property.
What landscaping was put in, this landscaping feature? I see a lot of lawn there and
Oh no, when I say landscaping features, I'm talking about the masonry.
the masonry.
Yeah. I'm not talking about the plantings.
Yes, the plantings look like whatever was there, pretty much.
But they just have a very, very, very bad deer problem as well. And they're living in the scenic easement behind the house, and they're just every day, he said there's 5 of them on the property he can see from having breakfast.
You know what? But that's where they live, and they have an application for approval, and to put a fence because they should take that into consideration. You can't put a fence in an NRSB jurisdiction, just laissez-faire. You can't.
Just what? Sorry.
You just can't go putting up fences because you don't like deer in the NRSB. You can't do this stuff.
Understood. I don't know that the clients understand that. You know, I understand that.
Yeah.
Well, but you're presenting it as very laissez-faire, as if it just happens. Now go to us and get forgiveness, and I'm not sure if that's.
Well, again, I think that we have to look at the standards. Is this going to create a detriment to the neighborhood? No, it's going to stop the runoff. Is it
But Lori,
environmentally harmful?
But Lori,
No.
this property has been under scrutiny. It's already been under severe scrutiny already from an NRSB.
I know that, Roy, but I'm not the landscaper. I'm only here to request some relief for what has been done because of the topography and the deer problem.
Well, I would think that the landscaper would have known better.
Yeah. Well, you can see.
Now, I have another question about the fences in the picture. There's already a fence right near the rock wall when you look down there. I don't know if it was 6 feet or 8 feet. It wasn't that easy to see. And then on another photo, there's a fence that continues down toward the western side, toward Essex Street. And do you know if that is the applicant's fence?
I think what it looks like to me is that this is a temporary deer fence that's been erected while he waited for your decision, because that's not, I mean, it's clearly not a professional deer fence that I can see. It looks very flimsy.
Yeah, a lot of them are. But, okay, and now the fence, why is there a fence that would go down toward the western side, toward Essex Street?
I'm looking at the
I mean, it looks
survey.
like, I don't know if that's his fence.
Yeah, I'm not sure myself. I'm sorry. I don't know the answer to
Yeah,
that.
I didn't see it on the survey.
It's not on the survey, so that makes me think it's not our fence.
I just want to
Well-
say that I visited the site as well,
Yeah.
and I was taken by how significant a structure this stair is. It's not merely a 4-foot set of stairs. It represented a fair amount of work, and I was wondering while I was there how this was constructed, not how it was physically constructed, but who gave the go-ahead for it. Was this during the general construction of the site? Or was this done afterward? Because it's not an insignificant change to that spot on the house. It's very significant. There's wall cap, there's a lot of stone. And I think the stone wall, with natural materials, is also quite significant. As you wind up on the west side, it's 4 or 5 feet down to grade with some very large material in there. So this was a pretty well-planned endeavor. This wasn't something that was casually thought about or just a temporary or a simple set of steps come up alongside the house. I bring that up because it seems to me that this wasn't done in any sort of accidental fashion. This is a pretty serious amount of work.
No, I think the landscaping company planned this and that this is how they intended to hold back the soils and maintain the boundary of the area that's supposed to be protected, and probably does a good job as well. But I think the driveway would constantly be compromised if there wasn't a wall to hold back the soil. And I think that in order to create the plateau, for example, that holds the AC units, you can see that the stairs have terracing going on there. But, I think that none of these things are actually detrimental to the wetlands. They're not going to cause any sort of leachate. They're not going to contaminate the wetlands. The flow is away from the wetlands. It's not going to go towards the wetlands. It's going to be more detrimental to remove these things than it would be to leave them, because obviously there'd be a huge siltation issue with excavating stones and concrete. At the time that this was done, and mind you, the DEC and the town both had a non-disturbance line, which is where the rock wall is, which is where it was supposed to be a fence, but everything is inside the area that was the development area, not the area to be preserved and protected.
Okay, let's
I'm
move on.
compelled- I'm
No,
compelled
go
to
ahead.
note that it's still the applicant's responsibility. So we continue to reference the landscape company, but it's really the applicant that knew the specifics on the property, the history of the property,
Yeah.
what was approved.
So I would have to say this, my client actually is in Arizona for most of the year. And I don't know that he was even here when this was getting done, to be honest with you. I don't think he was. He was here when the house was being built.
I'm accepting of that, but I think that's a distinction without a difference. It's still the applicant's responsibility, regardless of whether they were here or not. That's my simple point.
No, I totally understand all of your points, but I'm also saying that I don't think anything here is going to be detrimental to the wetlands, which is why we're in front of an NRSP and needing variances.
But Lori, did you read the 2016 determination?
I'm sure I did back then.
Well, you can't say it's not a detriment to the wetlands because both this property and the adjoining property were denied to scale the property back. This
Yeah.
is a great overscaling of the property that's been approved. You can't downplay what's been done here, Lori.
Well, it's not increasing the intensity of the use. I mean, it is actually just making it very clear to landscapers and everyone else that you're not going back there because you can't get back there.
All right, I have no further questions.
Okay, let's hear from the planning department. then.
Well, I have a
Go
question
ahead,
about the DEC permit. I didn't see if we had the actual DEC permit that was approved in the file. Was that submitted, Lori?
It was at the hearing quite some
okay,
time
maybe-
ago.
Okay, I didn't see
The
it. Maybe-
DEC is the one that required the post and rail fence to delineate the limits of clearing, disturbance, and clearing, grading, and non-disturbance.
So that was the one that was approved,
Yes,
post and rail fence, 4 foot,
correct.
and then it turned into this.
It
Okay,
was actually required, not approved.
required.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, if we could, maybe Lenny has seen it. Anybody see that, a copy of that permit? I think they'd like
I'm
to
looking
get.
for it.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
It wasn't submitted to this file.
It was not.
To this file, no, this is the accessory structure application. That's correct. Sorry, I'm looking.
Okay. All right, so,
Well, perhaps while she looks, we could have
Yeah,
Elaine.
let's listen to, yeah.
yeah,
Eleni, if you would, please. Good evening again.
Good evening. You know, swear me in.
Oh, I have not, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Eleni, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So good evening, everyone. So I don't have too much to add. Most of what I was going to say was already covered. But I will say, yeah, the property was the subject of a 2016 ZBA determination, which granted variances for the construction of this residence. It was during the planning department's CO inspection that it was noted that the staircase was here and the rock wall, and that wasn't a part of the 2016 determination, and it was decided that it does need further variances. The stairway is closer to the wetlands than any other structure that was approved, so it was kind of just here that was approved. So it's closer than anything else. The parcel had been in front of the ZBA 3 times previously. And it should be noted that the planning department recommended denial of all 3 previous ZBA determinations on this parcel. And that the applicant had been previously in front of the ZBA, so they should have been aware of the requirements prior to constructing the staircase and rock wall. Not too much else to add. We don't have a copy of the DEC permit. It was part of the previous application, but I couldn't locate a copy of that in our files. However, it was a requirement of the DEC that they construct that fence. That's a common requirement that the DEC puts in their permits between the wetlands. The 4-foot fence. However, the rock wall is not something that the DEC would have required. So that's something different. Other than that, the 4-foot fence that's over here, that is for safety. The building department did request that for safety concerns because it is a large drop. That is further away from the wetlands than the previously approved construction. Other than that,
I'm sorry, Lane, can you point again where they want the 4-foot fence, the building department?
that's over here by the retaining wall for the sanitary.
Yeah,
It is that large drop there. That's safety.
Okay, that goes right on top of the wall?
I believe it's pushed in a little bit. So it's not straight up, but it is pushed in a little bit. And that's from your photos, actually. That was a good photo showing the drop
Yeah, that
there.
drop, okay, yeah.
Yep.
So it would be constructed along here.
Yeah, I think typically in the past, we were keeping them a foot back from the wall. If you go back to the survey for a second, Eleni, if you would. So there weren't any pyramid issues and things like that on some earlier applications. You can see you're pretty close to the property line right there.
Yeah.
And the property is down at 48 feet, so that wall itself is not making the pyramid law, is not complying. I don't know if we picked that, if when this was approved, that was picked up. But anyway, Eleni, just one other question. The AC, going back up to the north, to the stairs, were those AC units approved in the previous application? Do you know, on the previous survey?
I believe they were not part of the previous survey. We have been not noticing small utility units and things like that, just because that's something that is part of the construction that does occur in many applications. However, yeah, that is something that was also closer to the wetlands.
Right. And that's propane. I guess that's a buried propane with a cap on it, a ground level cap on it there.
Yeah, I believe it was. I believe I saw a cap in the gravel.
If you look at the figure 4 from Eleni's original presentation, you can see that cap right along the wall. It's pretty obvious. I noticed it when we were there. That tank is buried right along, fairly close to the wall.
Thanks, Ed.
I have one question for Eleni. Eleni, the existing grading as built, does it match or differ from what was approved in 2016?
Let me bring up the 2016 survey. It's not a great survey that I have from it, but it's a little difficult to see.
Right. So if you look at this grading plan, it appears as if this entire site, or almost the entire site up to the rock wall, has been regraded.
Yeah, it
Is
does.
that correct? So
That
that's
was shown.
problematic.
That was
That's
shown.
problematic.
That was shown on the the approved survey. They show the 56, the 58 proposed contour, the 59 proposed contour. Yeah, no, that was on the plan. 50, 49, 52 down below. There's quite a bit of grading on the approved plan.
It looks here like they were proposing a retaining wall on the north side of the driveway there or something. But they didn't even change the grade lines. I mean, it's like they basically, you can tell they didn't deal with the grading at all here on this survey.
Doesn't say retaining wall.
No, I know, but I'm saying, I don't think it is, but no, you're right. But it just doesn't look like they really were dealing with the grading here.
No, I see these lines behind the house, 56, 58, 57, 59. And if
Right.
you go down over here, 52, 49. There's definitely proposed contours on this approved plan.
Yeah, it's not very. Typically, those are dashed and the other ones are solid, or one or the other. It's not very clear. Those look like they all look solid.
Well, yeah, they're black on my survey, and the existing are blue, and that's
Oh.
the difference. You can't see them because they're the same color.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That includes in the driveway, proposed contours in the driveway, leading up to the driveway, around what looks like that retaining wall that you're calling out. Obviously in the septic area.
Okay. Any other questions, board members?
Yeah.
Up for me.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Eleni, and thank you, Lori. I guess Terry, would you like to close this? Oh, is there anyone from the public? Mike at LTV, anyone?
There is one caller. We can see if it's pertaining to this. Just a moment. I'll unmute that
Okay.
caller right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, hi, Joel. This is Joel. I'm here for the next hearing.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Okay, Terry, then I guess, would you like to close us out on this?
Sure. So the application for Henry Proto at 835 Montauk Highway in Montauk, tax map 300-52-1-10.3. Make a motion to close the public hearing and to leave the public record open for a period of time, 2 weeks after the transcript of this hearing is posted on the town website.
Second?
Second. Oh, I'll concur.
I'll concur.
And I concur as well. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Lori. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Eleni. Okay, we'll move on to the next public hearing. And the applicant is Emmanuel Fresco, and the lot size and location is 26,437 square feet at 19 Isle of Wight Road in Lionhead Beach, map number 3451, in Springs, tax map number 300-37-2-6. The description is to construct a 720 square foot swimming pool, pool fence, pool equipment, and an upgraded sanitary system on a parcel of land within 150 feet of wetlands, and to allow a bulkhead to remain, which was replaced in kind, and a walkway surrounding the bulkhead, to which was expanded by 50 square feet, to remain on the property. The relief sought here is a natural resources special permit pursuant to 255-4-20 of the town code, and 2 variances are required for this application. Variances of 22 feet and 100 feet from section 255-4-30 wetland setbacks of the town code are required to allow the construction of a pool fence 78 feet and to allow an existing walkway to remain 0 feet from tidal wetlands where 100-foot setbacks are required, and any other relief necessary from the East Hampton Town Code. This is in a B residence zoning district, and the flood zone is X, and the secret is a class as a type 2. And council, do we have a proper affidavit of service and posting?
We have an affidavit stating the mailing was done on October 7th and that the posting was done on October 7th as well. So the paperwork appears to be in order.
Okay, thank you, council. Okay, we have, this is in Vice Chair Jolene's Spring District. Roy, do you have a field report?
Yes, I do. I've already started sharing my screen, and Mr. Chairman, if you'll see, took a visit at the site. This is a photo of the posting, properly posted. This is a photo now looking down into the residence, the driveway, looking down into it. This is going down, looking into the backyard of the residence, the deck there that you see, you notice. Turning, just again, scanning over to the right, but you see the photo of the backyard. In the distance there, you'll see the bulkhead that we'll be talking about too. This is the neighboring property to the right. I'm on the deck in the rear of the house. There's a deck above, and I'm standing on the lower deck, taking a photo, looking out the backyard, and you'll see that U-shaped bulkhead in the distance there. Again, just scanning over to the right a little bit to get a view of the backyard. This is the neighboring house. Now standing back, this is the house that's part of the application, looking back at the house from the bulk, standing over by the bulkhead. Again, turning around and look at the neighboring property, looking back. This is a photo of the bulkhead. You can see a family of swans swimming up to say hello to me at this time. This is the right side of the bulkhead, looking down at it. And this is the deck that's in question. There's a question on the width of the deck. And again, the TAM talks about this stairway. That's part of the notice as well. Couldn't resist the Swan family. Again, if I'll back up, you can see, I think part of this application is also dealing with approval of the bulkhead that was built in kind. Again, looking at the bulkhead leading out to the water. And then there's this little platform leading out to another little bulkhead. The other side has a similar condition. Looking back at the neighboring house, standing on the edge of the back of the bulkhead, looking at the house in the application. And then this is the other part of the bulkhead. Now, this seems to be some type of floating dock. I'm not sure what that is there. So just want to point that out. Now I'm back in the front yard. I just want to see the terracing in the front yard, and that's the last picture I have.
Okay. Thank you, Roy. Any questions, board members? From Roy? No? Okay. Do we have Joel online here?
I am here.
Okay, good evening, Joel.
Evening.
Joel, I'll swear you in unless you passed the bar exam in the last few weeks. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good evening again.
Good evening. Joel Halsey on behalf of the property owner, Emmanuel Fresco, working with Lighthouse Land Planning. I'd like to kind of just take it in order with the
Joel, just one quick, Joel, if the latest survey is 6/24/20.
The latest survey would be 9/24/20, September.
I see it. I got it.
Great.
And that just shows the walkway, the steps that were over the sanitary system to be removed as per the technical analysis memo. You can't have a structure within 5 feet of the sanitary system.
Correct.
So that will be removed. So I'd like to take this in order as best I can with the technical analysis memo, just touching the points on that and answering any questions the board might have. I'd like to start off with regarding the pool fence and why it wasn't designed in an all-conforming location. If you follow the wetland setback of the 100-foot line, this is the line the fence was essentially established along. However, the legally existing boat basin on this property shifts the 100-foot setback in this area close to the house by about 30 feet. So, oh, there we go. Sorry. So if you look, you could follow the fence line follows the 100-foot setback, but because of that boat basin, all of a sudden the wetland shifts back towards the house by about 30 feet, essentially creating the non-conforming area of less than 100 feet for the fence in that area. So although the fence does need a variance, if that, I don't want to say we're going to remove the boat basin and make it a conforming fence, it's because of the location of the boat basin, and that's why the fence requires that variance. Regarding the boat basin itself, from this property, the owner did prepare an email to me, which I submitted to the board on September 29th, 2020. Mr. Fresco is a homeowner, and that's it. He does not pretend to understand the code or know the code. He doesn't read the code. And if you ask most homeowners in the town of East Hampton, they probably don't understand the code or even want to read the code. To that point, he hired a professional to get his boat basin rebuilt in place and in kind. And he thought he was doing the right thing. He hired a company. They got him a permit to rebuild it in place in kind, but they only got the DEC permit. They didn't get the town permit, and they did not get the trustee permit. I'm here. I have not applied to the trustees yet, but I want to go through the zoning board of appeals prior to the trustees. We will go to the trustees next. But again, he did what he thought was correct. He got a permit. The company that got him the permit to build the boat basin then did the work. Through no fault of his own. It's just a simple misunderstanding on his part. I didn't even realize the boat basin was rebuilt without the proper permits until it was pointed out to me that the wood walkway was slightly larger than what is shown on the previous CO, which is it's essentially about a foot wider, or maybe about a foot wider than what was shown on the CO from 1977, I think it is. There, you can see that there. So once we picked that up, I contacted Mr. Fresco right away, and he told me he had done everything that was supposed to. He thought he had done everything that was supposed to be done. Once I informed him that it wasn't done, he was a little upset, to say the least, but he understands that he's going through the process now, and he's hopefully going to try to get it all straightened out with the town.
Right. I mean, pardon me, Joel, for interrupting, but it looks like we quickly looked at that survey. If you could go back, or if that was Lenny doing that, it looks like it said 3 feet on that walkway.
Okay, 3 feet.
And now it's 5. Now I believe it's 5 feet.
Now it's 5 feet. Okay.
So, and it also, as you can see before we leave the screen here, you can see it also, it looks like it did not extend as far towards the channel. Anyway, just to point that out. If you see that, if you notice that. Go ahead, Joel.
So to that point, the 3 foot, the work got done, and it is what you see today. Today we are asking that you permit what was built, and not to punish Mr. Fresco for not knowing and for trusting others to do what he thought was being done right. This is a walkway. It's for safety. 3 foot is a little bit narrow. 4 foot would be probably ideal, and probably what I don't want to speak for the zoning board of appeals, but could be what would traditionally be approved, a 4 foot walkway. This is 5 feet along the back. To kind of punish him to either remove 1 foot or 2 foot from the walkway for something that was built with, again, what he thought was proper permitting, is a little bit harsh, I would say. Again, it's 2 foot. It's a matter of 2 foot or 1 foot, depending on what you would approve in this area. 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot. Again, we're not asking for a deck. You could probably set, a couple chairs on here, but again, it's not a deck. It's there. It's a walkway, essentially what it is. I would be much happier if it was 4 feet, because it would be easier for me to sell it to you. But again, we're talking about 12 inches more now with 5 feet. I don't.
Joe, what is the applicant offering in mitigation for that?
The planning department did mention a revegetation along the. Let me just pull out.
That's for the pool.
4 foot contour, which roughly is about 2,700 square feet of vegetation. For that extra 2 feet of walkway there.
I thought it said for the
We're
pool.
also going for the pool and the sanitary upgrade as well. But, you know, that's, and the fence.
Now, just to be clear, the sanitary upgrade, I mean, it's wonderful that you're doing it, but there's no changes as far as bedroom counts or anything on the inside as far as to compel that.
No, the only thing, essentially the thing that's compelling it is the pool. He wants to put in a pool on his property. They are an elderly couple, and they would like to have a place that they can relax. They, you know, so excuse me, the existing sanitary system would not allow a pool to be put in this location. That is what compels the sanitary upgrade, and that's it. There is nothing going on in the interior of the house.
And the existing, I believe, is simply a cesspool. Is that correct? I believe in the TAM it said that, Joel?
Correct. Well, it was built in.
Or was there a septic and a cesspool?
I believe it. Right now, it just says cesspool on the survey, but I have to look at the. Let me take a look at the building history. The CO was issued in 77, if I'm not mistaken. If it was issued in 77, I think 76 was when the county required cesspools, or sorry, septic tanks.
Mhm.
So it was built with a building permit. Let's see, the building permit was issued in 1977. The building permit was issued in 65, so I believe it is just a cesspool.
Oh, yeah. So you're fine with, I imagine you're fine with the revegetation. You're offering that at the 4-foot contour
We would do the revegetation along the 4-foot contour, yes.
with native species approved by the planning department.
Of course, native species.
Yeah. Now, can you speak to why, I think I know the answer, but per Eleni's well-written TAM, why you did not rotate the swimming pool to get?
Sorry, that was a part of my list. If you rotated the pool, you'd be within setbacks of the sanitary system. You would not be able to do that according to the county.
Okay, that's a good answer. Board members, any questions? We can always come back after Eleni speaks. And
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm just struggling with the matter of the wood walkway as a matter of precedence.
Mhm.
And my question would be, why not anybody come to us requesting a walkway like this and say, oh, we'll just we'll just add some revegetation. We could have this all over town.
Mhm.
So as a matter of precedence, I think we're, Joel, I don't know if you want to address that. Is that adequate? Is that adequate mitigation for us allowing a walkway of this width?
I don't want to. I mean, I don't want to say that again. I hear it all the time from the board that the board cannot set precedents, and you guys cannot set precedents. And I mean, if I say that one time in front of you guys on the board, I get pretty much beat down every time I say that to you guys. So I do not believe that you would be setting precedents in here. I don't want to say that this is a unique circumstance. This is a circumstance. This is a mistaken circumstance. The gentleman believed he was doing the right thing. Again, I mean, how many places around town are you going to have an in-place in kind rebuilding of a boat basin? It went from a 3-foot wide walkway to a 5-foot wide walkway. And at the end of the day, you might have approved a 4-foot wide walkway here. I'm hoping that a 4-foot wide walkway would have been approved here, because a 3-foot wide walkway is probably, a little bit more on the dangerous side. So I think, we would have at least gotten the 4-foot wide walkway. Yes, we are requesting an extra 12 inches. So, I mean, again, you have to think of where you would be setting the precedents. How many boat basins are there going to be in this town? And how many people are going to, I mean, I don't want to say how many people are going to build something without a permit. But again, this was built under the full faith that the permits were in place and he thought he was doing the right thing. The company that built it did not do the right thing to him.
Are they licensed in the town of East Hampton? I think it was Shore, something like Shore.
Shore
Solutions or
Construction,
something?
Shore Solutions. Yeah, I could tell you. I didn't. I don't. Since you brought it up, I could tell you who it was.
I'm just curious if they're licensed in the town, because if they are licensed, you certainly need a building permit to.
I don't even know. They didn't even get a building. Obviously, if they had tried to get a building permit,
They would have come to us.
it would have gotten to you guys. Again, the company misled the property owner. Shore Solutions Inc. They are not. They are from the island. They're from, I'm going to say mid-island, but I don't know my island geography that well, or at least for this town. So, again, he was misled. He was led to believe that all the permits were in place, and to have him, have to rip up. He's essentially going to have to replace. I would say, looking at the pictures, I guess you could pull every board and cut it back 24 inches and replace every board. But it does the benefit, does the detriment to the town outweigh the benefit to the applicant in this situation? I say that the detriment to the applicant far outweighs anything in this situation. That's a financial burden, and it's just.
So, yeah, I appreciate you citing the standards. I just wonder if you think that a 100-foot variance where 100 feet is required is a substantial variance.
I argue the requirement for 100-foot variance in this situation, because if you look at all the docks that go in town and all the coastal structures, most coastal structures have a walkway along them. So you're essentially, it's a coastal structure to me. And in this situation, in the town, coastal structures do not require variances. You haven't allowed this boat basin was allowed. It was built legally, and it had a walkway around it. So essentially, to me, requiring a 100-foot variance for a coastal structure, which I tend to believe that this structure is a little bit, much. But again, to get in front of the zoning board of appeals, I applied for the 100-foot variance for the coastal structure.
And then follow-up question, again, based on the standards, which relate to whether or not the benefits sought can be achieved by some method feasible to the applicant to pursue other than the variance. So my question really is on that front, did you pursue what the cost would be to fix this problem without requesting the variance? And could you tell us what the cost would be to the owner?
That has not been pursued whatsoever. And I'm not a contractor, so I would not be able to tell you what would need to be done, but I would imagine it would take a lot of, demolition to do it. You're going to need footings and the footings are going to have to all be replaced on the outside of that, I would imagine. And you could probably reuse most of the decking material, just cut it back. But you are going to need to pour footings, for the whole, at least on the, not on the inside, but on the outside. But again, I'm not a contractor. I'm just kind of, blowing smoke up, right now. So we could pursue that. We could try to get some estimates for you if you'd like. But again, to me, I think a 3-foot wide walkway, to approve a 3-foot wide walkway nowadays is not safe. If we had come to the board and requested, obviously the board's not going to, if we had requested a rebuild in place in kind of this boat basin with a rebuilding of the walkway to be 4 foot to be, safe, I would believe that would have flown with the town. I don't know if you guys are with the board. I'd like to think that, that would have. Again, now it's a matter of 12 inches to get to that 5-foot mark. And I think it's pretty much just along the backside of it. I don't know if it's 5 foot up the sides. I don't believe that it is. I believe it's 4 feet up the sides.
It actually does look thinner on the sides. Just from looking at it visually.
Yeah.
I think, Joel, I think that you're reaching a conclusion based on a speculation that the board would have approved We don't know what would have happened if you'd come in front of the board with this. And so justifying the 4 foot as a given is not necessarily the case. And then if you're not in violation by 1 foot, it is to 2 foot. And that's a more serious situation. I'm not sure that also the logic that the client didn't know that he was in the wrong is something that we can use as a rule that helps justify every time somebody stands in front of the board and wants to just, look for relief on some condition that they created. This was created between a contract between the client and a subcontractor or a contractor who did not do his job. Almost anyone could say that about almost anything in the future. So I'm not sure the logic works for me.
Well, you can see our new board members up to speed. Anyway.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Well, so I guess at least then, to the point then, we are offering a 2,700 square foot revegetation to allow this wood walkway to remain. That's, we are offering mitigation. It's not like we're saying, just give it to us, 2,700 square foot revegetation. You're looking at, $27,000 worth of revegetation work to allow to keep this walkway. I guess he could take that $27,000 and cut the walkway back. If that's.
Is it actually 27,000 to do that? You think?
Well, usually it's we roughly say it's about $7 to $10 a square foot for revegetation plans.
So just changing subject for a minute, talk to us about that floating. Well, the returns and all that were not on the original CO. We haven't really discussed, but I'm not sure if they were a replace in kind. And my other thing is, what about that pretty massive floating dock out there?
I can't speak to that floating dock there. I don't know. I don't remember seeing that when I was there. Again, this is the first I'm hearing of that one. I could find out what that one's for. For all I know, it floated in from somebody else's property in a storm. I don't know. I would have to look into that to see and what the deal is with that floating dock. And but when I'll send a message to the property owner to see if he can explain it to me when Eleni's on. But again, I don't know if Eleni could bring up this 1977 CO, that we could. I do believe the returns are on.
Oh yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, they are without the walkway there, and generally they're the same. It looks like.
Yeah. So again,
it says concrete block something. They were concrete block bulkhead. It says
bulkhead. Yeah.
Not a concrete block.
So here, for a matter of 12 inches by, by the matter of, 30 feet, 12 inches of, 30 square linear feet, or, however you want to say it, we're offering 2,700 square feet of revegetation along the shoreline there. I'm not asking you to say that, hey, he didn't do the right thing, because, I'm not, I am kind of asking you to sympathize for the property owner, but yeah, he did not, as a property owner, you should pay attention to what you're doing on your property, and you should look at, what you think. You hire somebody to do work for you, you should hope that they're going to do it properly. But yeah, I guess you should definitely double check all their work. But again, the amount of property owners in the town of East Hampton that actually would do that are few and far between. You could probably ask 10 property owners in this town, and some of them might even tell you they didn't even know they needed a building permit to do something.
You're the second.
What's that?
You're the second one. You're the second one tonight.
No, I
So
heard the previous, but again, this
Appears to be an epidemic.
This was at least done with the thought that they were doing it properly. They had permits, and they weren't being malicious here. They thought they were rebuilding something properly, like they were allowed to, and they didn't think anything of it. Again, it's going to cost them either money to fix to cut the bulkhead back, or it's going to cost them money to revegetate along the shoreline there.
Joel, there's some non-indigenous plant vegetation in there, such as the arborvitae. Is that going to be removed and then planted with species approved by the planning department?
Down in that 2,700 square foot area?
Yeah, along the bulkhead, all along the bulkhead, there's arborvitae's in there.
Okay, then, yeah, if we would, yeah, as part of the revegetation plan, it would probably be wise to get rid of any of the non-native vegetation.
Joel,
So
can a clarification on your application? You're offering the mitigation of the revegetation for the expansion of the bulkhead. Is it also mitigation for the pool and the other items that you're asking for, or is there a separate mitigation offered?
Well,
for
we
that?
are, I mean, technically, to get the pool, the only way we can get the pool is to do a sanitary upgrade. So, to go from a cesspool on this property to an AI system on this property to allow a swimming pool to be installed is pretty good mitigation right there.
But that's a requirement though, correct?
It's not a requirement
No.
if we don't do the pool.
Right, but if you do a pool, you have to do the upgraded.
Only if we do the pool, but we don't have to do the pool.
I understand that, but I'm just checking this. So it's not a voluntary.
Well, the
mitigation.
reason, yeah, I believe the reason, as you said, you're doing obviously you're doing the upgrade for the pool for mitigation, but, and as you say, you would not have to do it if you were not putting in the pool, because right now the pool going in is disrupting the existing system. So you're doing it for two reasons, right?
Correct.
Mitigation and also practicality, because the pool could not go over the existing system, obviously.
But the pool is not requiring a variance. Is that
That's-
correct?
No, the pool
And it's
is
not
out of
required, it
jurisdiction.
doesn't typically require a new sanitary system either.
No, and I would imagine a pool over 100 feet from the wetlands wouldn't typically require 2,700 square feet of revegetation either.
Well, that's another,
If it's just within
Well,
national permit
Joel,
jurisdiction.
no matter what, this zoning board would be looking for re-veg anyway, not to see lawn going down to the bulkhead or the water's edge. This board would always seek that. So it's not a gift.
I'm not saying it's a gift, and I'm not saying right now we've got a project before the board right now that we're going to do 2,700 square feet of revegetation and an AI sanitary system for a swimming pool that's out of jurisdiction, a portion of pool fence that's within jurisdiction, and 24 inches by 30 feet of walkway along a bulkhead, which technically is a coastal structure, so shouldn't require variance to begin with.
okay, let's take a break and let's see if Mike from LTV, do we have any public on the line here?
No, there are no other callers tonight.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Chair, I need a clarification only
Sure.
because it
Sure.
will matter when we get to discussing this at a work session.
Sure.
There is the construction of the pool, the variance is for, just for the pool fence and the walkway. Although the project includes the pool, that does not require variance or an NRSP, correct?
No, the pool requires an so.
Because it's within the 150.
So that it does require the special permit, it doesn't require a variance. Is that just for clarification?
Correct. As far as I know, that's correct.
Correct.
Can I just ask a quick question about the survey? And maybe I'm just not looking at the right thing, but is clearing delineated on this survey?
Oh,
I
good
think the
point.
property is considered 100% cleared under the.
Oh,
pre-existing
geez, we haven't-
non-conforming.
I'm sorry, we haven't heard from the planning department yet.
No, but if you look at the.
I was
survey
going to the
top left
public. Let's
corner-
take a break and let's let Eleni jump in here and
Mr. Chairman,
go
do you
ahead, Tim.
mind if I just get the answer to that question?
no, I was going to have Eleni give you the answer, but go ahead, Joel, if you want to take a
The
stab.
top left, the property is considered 100% cleared, pre-existing, non-conforming.
So
Yeah,
we
no, I
just don't
wasn't-
put anything on the survey as a result of that?
Well, if you look at the top left corner, it says 100% cleared. I don't, maybe does the new survey not say that?
Let's see. I don't see clearing.
Oh, it's not in the, sorry, it's not in the top left.
I don't see
It's on
clearing.
the
Lot
bottom
is
right.
100% cleared. Yeah, Tim, I wasn't trying
So
to,
it's in the bottom right,
yes,
just to the left of the stamp. You'll see a bunch of notes, lot area, flood
Right.
zone, lot is 100% cleared.
yeah. So, yeah, Tim, I didn't mean to cut you off. The only reason I mentioned Eleni is she's going to discuss that and the H pod and how this 2,700 feet, what that does to the percentages, that's all. Any other questions, board members, before we move on to Eleni?
I did have a question about the pool, and now that it is in NRSP jurisdiction, about, is there any native vegetation that may be impacted and removed or destroyed by
No, the
putting that
lot's
pool
100%
in?
cleared.
The lots, yeah, technically it's 100% cured, so there's nothing where they're going to put the pool that has to go away
Nope,
in terms of
except for
vegetation?
lawn, just lawn.
Just lawn?
I actually have a comment about that, but I would just as soon wait for Eleni. Perhaps, are you going to be putting up any photos, Eleni, that photo image number 3?
I can put up photos.
Sure.
Figure 3 that you had? So, okay, back to, yeah, this one here, that photo, that's it. If we had looked at the survey, there was a dry well to be put associated with the pool that was going to go to the west side of the pool. The pool winds up pushed fairly close to the house. A lot of that decking we're looking at will be removed.
Yep.
It will be reconfigured, and the pool will sit in a position where it'll be much tighter to the house than we might imagine looking at this. But we look to the west side, there's a dry well proposed. And when I stood at the spot where the dry well was, there are 4 fairly large trees, and you can see them here, 3 of which I don't see any way you'd be able to save if you put the pool in that location. And in reference to the neighbor and consideration to them, I'm wondering why that pool couldn't be moved closer to the near edge of the proposed pool. And that is an open area. I know one of Roy's, Vice Chair Roy's photos showed a nice open area, and I think that would make some sense, and just in terms of leaving what are 3 native plants. There's a sassafras, a hickory, and there was a juniper, eastern red
Okay.
cedar. So I thought all of those could be saved if that pool could be moved a little to the north.
Do you
Are you
mean the
talking about the
pool
pool or the
pool
dry well?
Not the pool, I'm sorry, the dry
The
well.
dry well.
Missed
The
that.
dry well. Yeah.
Okay, we can arrange that.
Yeah.
We can have Eleni jump back. Thanks for that, Ed. We can have Eleni. That's a good point. We can have Eleni. We can pull back to the survey and look at that again. If you would, Eleni.
So again, if you look at that pool that she's circling, if that, not the pool, but the dry well,
pool,
the dry
yeah.
well moved now, possibly as little as 20 or 30 feet. It's also a large maple there, and being a surface feeder, I'm not sure the maple would survive. It would do a fair amount of damage to existing vegetation. Now, I realize it's 100% cleared, non-conforming, but just in reference to the neighbor whose house is fairly close at that point. Again, Roy had a photo up that showed that. I think it would be wise for us to consider, for you to consider, moving that dry well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, Ed. It's bringing it closer to the wetlands, obviously by doing that. But I think you're right about the trees. It would be a shame to be losing those. Why don't we go to Eleni and hear from Eleni, then we can circle back, if that sounds all right. Eleni, if you would, please.
Eleni Nicolopoulos from the Planning Department. So yeah, I'll just say that this parcel is located within the Harbor Protection Overlay District. It's considered pre-existing non-conforming to HPOD clearing regulations. So it is considered 100% cleared. In regards to the bulkhead replacement, it was done without a natural resources special permit, trustee permit, or a building permit. There was, and it's not clear exactly when the work was done, but it does appear that the bulkhead itself was replaced in kind. It's just the 50 square feet, which is here, and that wood step, and it's 5 feet in width. Had this reconstruction come in front of the planning department prior to the work being done, we would have recommended that the walkway not be expanded and that it's be replaced in place in kind. I'm not sure when the walkway was expanded. I do have the 2015 CO, which is slightly, this was done, I believe, before the bulkhead was reconstructed. So it's a little different than the 1977 CO. So there has been some work done without building permits throughout the years here. What else do we have? In regards to the swimming pool, it does meet the 100-foot setback. So it does need a natural resources special permit, but no variances. And we would like the board to note that there are only 3 swimming pools that have been constructed on Hog Creek in the past 10 years. And the one that I guess is most notable is located at 39 Isle of Wight Road, which was coupled with a 4,000 square foot revegetation. And that brought that parcel into conformity with HPOD clearing regulations. And so the planning department is recommending at least a 2,700 square foot revegetation. And it would serve as a buffer to mitigate any increased runoff due to the increase in lot coverage, and would bring the parcel closer into conformity with HPOD clearing regulations. This would bring the overall clearing on the parcel down to 23,737 square feet, where HPOD clearing regulations for a parcel this size would be 10,000 square feet. So since the parcel is currently considered to be 100% cleared, any revegetation would be beneficial on this. But overall, we would like to remind the board that any increase in development on this parcel has the potential to increase stormwater runoff into Hog Creek. And that is something to be mindful of.
Thank you, Lenny.
So you think the 2,700 square foot revegetation is adequate for the pool? Would you want more for mitigation for the docking?
That's something that is up to the board. Obviously, we would love to see this come into conformity with HPOD. But as far as a nexus, that's something that the board should consider.
Lenny, what do you think about the idea of sliding that pool drywall 20 feet or something seaward or towards the channel?
I think that in order to preserve any native vegetation that was there, that would be beneficial.
Okay.
Can I interject regarding the dry well?
Sure.
We could potentially, that's the pool's 20 by 36.
Right.
It's kind of an odd size. You know, potentially we could design the pool to be 16 by 32 or 18 by 34, and that would allow us to move the dry well closer off the property line and hopefully avoid the vegetation there, the trees.
And you diminish the size of the pool as well.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just say to Joel, I don't think I know what you're thinking, but if you were to stand in that spot and look at the vegetation, if you were willing to move it, and everyone agreed, the board agreed this was a wise move, if you were to move it towards the channel, you would not have to do much more than that. I think that the shrubbery is really bunched just about where you see your proposed site for that dry well. So the dry well moving, there's a fairly open spot as you move a little closer to the channel. And I just made note of it because I noticed that the protection to the neighbor seemed to be intact if those trees remained. If they were taken out, I think there might be another issue in the future.
I don't believe it's Mr. Fresco's intention to remove any trees on this property.
Yeah. Now, I have to say that I appreciate that, Ed, but I have to say if Joel is considering talking to the clients about diminishing the pool size and which can only help his application, and coming back to us with a revised site plan, and showing also that you intend on complying to the revegetation, I'm certainly okay with that. Holding the written record open for you to make that resubmission myself.
I can do that.
Well, what was the suggested size that you threw out there, Joe?
16 by
Possibly.
32. Like that's kind of your, I guess that your old time standard swimming pool size. I
Yeah.
don't know if today that would be correct. I've seen some crazy looking pools in the past.
And then the dry well could be moved toward the pool without incurring a variance for the wetlands.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would still be way over 100 feet from the wetland, but we could also move it a little bit.
And you can
landward,
shift
sorry, a
it.
little bit.
Yeah, you can shift it. As Lenny says, if you're saving those big trees and Ed knows a lot more about these trees, I can tell than I do. But, if you're, getting out of their root structure and the drip line is far away from the drip lines, you can get that. And I'm fine with that. So you'd be doing both. You'd be moving it,
We'll move it
closer
in
to
and
the
down,
pool.
just shift it towards the pool a little bit and a little bit towards Hog Creek.
Exactly.
We
Board
can do that.
members?
Yeah, well, we know trees help keep our water clean.
Yeah. Keep our air clean too. Any other comments or questions, board members?
No.
I don't know if Eleni finished your
Yeah,
presentation.
Lenny, I'm sorry, we cut you off. Thank you.
No,
Thank you, Nancy Lynn.
I'm all set.
Are you?
Again, I just want to touch base. It was mentioned that there's only 3 pools in Hog Creek, and I can definitely understand one of the reasons why there's probably only 3 pools in this area. A lot of the properties along Hog Creek probably might not have a conforming location for a pool on Hog Creek. This property happens to be one of the lucky few that they can meet a 100-foot setback for a pool along Hog Creek, and they would like to see one on their property. The second point, the most recent approval where they had to do the revegetation, and again, you guys are going to shoot me down on this, but I don't know. Did they have a sanitary upgrade with that pool application, or was it just a 4,000 square foot revegetation? I mean, yeah, granted, we do have to upgrade the sanitary system because it is in the way of the swimming pool. But without doing the swimming pool, they wouldn't be upgrading the sanitary system. And in this situation, you're getting an upgraded sanitary system. You're allowing the property owners to build a pool on their property, and you're going to get a 2,700 square foot revegetation along the waters of Hog Creek, all for the 24 inches by 30 feet of wood walkway. And granted, Eleni did say that if we did come before you for an in-place in-kind replacement of the bulkhead there, you would have held us to what was there at 3 feet. But I think holding us to a 3-foot walkway, to me, it wouldn't be a safe thing to do. A 4-foot walkway would be more adequate. Yeah. Every time the board approves something, it's 4 feet wide, not 3 feet wide, 4 feet wide.
Okay.
And I would imagine that
I think we've heard that. I think we get that.
We get that, Joe.
The one thing I do want to reinforce is that you were going to go back and give us some additional information on the floating dock that.
Oh, I did. Yes, I did get it. Sorry, I got a response back from that. The owner says it was on. Was there a 2000? I was trying to pull up my building. Was there a 2005 CO? I don't know. 2015 CO?
2015.
Okay, so he bought the property in 2005, and he said it was there when he bought the property. It was on I guess he's saying CV. I think he means CO when he bought it. But I think that's the 2015. He probably saw a 2005 survey that may have had it on the survey. Again,
the TAM says that he bought it in 2015.
Okay, so he put 2005 in his text to me. I don't see it on the 2015 CO survey.
This is 2003.
When I bought it in 2000, well, he says 2005, but if he bought it in 2015, he bought it in 2015. So it was there when he bought it. He didn't think anything of it. He bought it and it was there. I don't know, what we can do in this situation. Obviously, it's probably something that would need to be permitted. I highly doubt that it would get permitted. So I'm sure it's going to have to probably be, removed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, Joe. So why don't we? I'm suggesting we leave the written record open, Joel, for you to make a resubmission. Okay.
Yep.
So we're going to have to keep this open until the transcript posts, and then another 2 weeks. It's averaging about 6 to 8 weeks before record close. Is that enough time, or do you need additional?
So to revise the survey with a smaller pool and the proposed revegetation,
Yes.
Right.
that's plenty of time.
So
Yeah,
if we
great.
just follow our usual closing of the record language, that should give you sufficient time?
That gives me sufficient time.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Nancy Lynn. Okay. Anything else, board members or Lenny? No? Okay. Roy, would you mind closing us out here?
Sure. Therefore, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing, but keep the record open until 2 weeks after the posting of the minutes on the town website, 2 weeks after, and to also allow the applicant to submit a new survey showing a smaller pool and re-veg area for Emmanuel Fresco, Suffolk tax map number 300-037-02-06.
Sounds great. You said minutes. I think you meant transcript, Roy, when you said minutes.
Transcripts.
Yeah.
I'm going to second it.
Hang on, don't go anywhere, Joel. We have a
Okay.
question on something.
Oh, yeah, we have a question. All right, let's
Okay.
finish the thing. Tim seconded,
Yeah, I concur.
Concur.
and I concur as well. And Joe, we're going to ask you to stay, but we'll close that out. And thank you for that, Joel and Lenny. Thank you for all your work on this as well. Much appreciated. Joel, we just wanted to talk about for a second the modification for the Plata Day, the LLC.
Sure.
And now, I don't know how much of this you listened, but I think you know that we made it fairly clear that this board was interested last week, and we discussed it earlier after Nancy Lynn spoke with Ann Glennon, the principal building inspector, and we want to make sure you understood, and you can do what you wish, but what we've been discussing is a 4-foot stair, and that being located is far away from the pool. I'm not sure which direction that was, but you know what I mean, from the
Yeah.
end of the pool. So you have the chance to either ignore that and ask us to vote on your modification, or come back to us with a revised proposal.
So I guess ignoring it and you voting on my modification is probably a bad idea, but I'd like to kind of, I wish I was, could have been present for that modification, but I wasn't there. But, for all intents and purposes, that project was designed under the town code at the time. It was reviewed by the planning department. It was reviewed by the zoning board of appeals, but somehow the building department changed their policy of the 2-step rule, which was in effect in the town during Don Sharkey's time, during Tom Priato's time.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, we've been planning this thing out since 2016, and it went through the whole rigmarole of the town reviewed it, the zoning board reviewed it, I reviewed it, and there was nothing that stood out to say that couldn't be done according to the way the town allowed that 2-step rule.
Well, without Joel, I appreciate that, but without us revisiting this, if you want to just go back to our meeting, I think it was last week.
I watched it.
Okay, because we don't have to repeat all that. We had a lengthy discussion. I think you know how we feel. We know that it was missed there. That rule has been changed for a long time. We've had many applications that come before us that deal with that. So I don't want to really revisit that whole discussion. It's up to you how you.
Okay. To my other point, it was discussed by Brian Frank that night that it wasn't, nobody had even brought it over to Ann Glennon to review internally before it got to you guys. When I had actually, it was email. I had emailed it to the building department, and they had approved it. So we showed you something that I have emails to show that they.
Brian did present it, that he had presented your position,
Yes.
that it had been, you had spoken with someone in the building department. And that's why I went to Ann Glennon to get clarification. And the first question I asked her was she familiar with this, with the diagram that you had submitted? So it was presented, your position was presented to the board by Brian. He did not misspeak and say that you had not taken it to the building.
Yes, correct.
No, that's not what I said. I said that the planning department didn't take it to the building department before it got to you guys for a month.
Your mic, hold on, Joel. I'm not hearing you that well. Something happened.
I didn't say Brian, I didn't take it to the building department. I said Brian didn't. Nobody from the town took it.
Yeah,
Well, we
we
can't
lost
hear.
your volume.
Joe, your volume, something happened. We can hear you just barely. So we heard what you. Try speaking, Joe.
He is. Now we can't hear him at all.
We've lost him.
Well, Joel, can you hear us? Give us a wave, because if you can hear us, Joel.
We can't
Again,
hear you, Joe.
Can't hear you, sorry.
Yeah, but Joel, I can say this: we hear you loud and clear. We just heard what you said. You've heard our discussion. We know about it, the history of it. Okay, so and as if you did rewatch our discussion from last week, you'll know that we all feel this would be a slippery slope where these stairs being used as buffers could just come back and get larger and larger and that sort of thing. And so that's why we had that discussion, and that's why Nancy Lynn did go, just to follow up with Ann Glennon. So I understand your argument. I think we all do. And now it's in your hands to take the next step, and that's up to you and your client, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And since you can't,
Hear you.
yeah,
Sorry.
that's too
Can't hear
bad.
you.
But maybe you
Well,
can.
you can, we do have a chat button on the bottom if you want to type it in. You want to type the message in on our chat.
Or the other thing, yeah, or you can also,
Excuse me, John. Excuse me, Chair. This is Mike at
Yes.
LTV. I just want
Yeah.
you to know that we are experiencing some internet problems. If you are as
Okay.
well, we're aware, and I'm working on them.
Okay.
Continue to talk as we speak. I'm working on them.
okay, thanks, Mike.
Okay, but I really believe that we just need a decision rather than a continued
Yes. I'm sorry.
debate on this.
I agree too. I think we've spent a lot of time on this. We know Joel's side of the story. We know our side of the story. It's on the record. And Joel, you're welcome also to submit a memo.
No, call my office and I'll put you on speakerphone so you can speak.
Oh, okay.
He's
Well,
calling,
just
maybe
call
he's
my
calling
office.
into the Zoom meeting.
He might be. Mike, is he calling in?
Yes, just 1 second, please.
Thanks.
He's talking, but we can't hear him.
Yeah.
1 moment,
He
please.
hasn't been let in yet.
Hold
Oh,
on.
can you hear me?
Joel, go
Yeah,
ahead.
now we can.
Now we
Okay.
can.
So, I mean, I guess the only thing I can do here is just kind of vent my frustration a little bit because, again, this has been going on since 2016. It was reviewed by everybody, and just the original application, but the stairway was reviewed by the building department. I have an email basically stating that this is okay and this will suffice. This will meet the spirit of what they're going to approve. But then it got to the zoning board of appeals, and nobody had discussed it with Ann before it got to you guys. And then you guys discussed it with Ann, and all of a sudden nobody even remembers it. But I mean, I have emails that show it.
Well, you spoke to Joe. I believe you spoke to, I wouldn't know, I meant to another inspector,
Joe
not Ann.
Palermo.
Yes. But anyway,
Yep.
Joel, I think we're beating a dead horse. We know your frustration. We know the history. You don't have to tell us again. We've heard it many times. And it's up to you what you want to do next. Okay. We're not, I think you know how we feel. We spent a lot of time
I'm going
on
to
this.
submit I'll submit a revisal showing a 4-foot wide stairway because, again, I don't want the modification to get denied. I need to move forward.
Well,
Okay,
that's your
so we'll
call.
table this until we get his new submission.
Okay. That sounds good to me.
Or can you just approve the modification with the stairway no wider than 4 feet?
I think they want to see where it is on there, Joel, if you can.
You know what, I could see if the board agrees with me, Joel, if you submitted a diagram on the survey or something that's not just a hand sketch, it's something somewhat official, perhaps we could approve it with the condition that that the survey be updated before the building permit is it. Nancy Lynn, board members, I don't know if you're comfortable with that. I know surveyors are very busy these days.
Oh, yeah.
I would be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Board
Yeah,
members?
it's in the
That would be
architect sketch already, so if it's just done, the architect sketch updated, perhaps that could be sufficient.
Sure, with a condition that before a building permit's issued, the survey would reflect that, and
Yep.
that we can deal with. Yeah.
Okay.
And again, Joel, we're going to be looking for that stairwell to be not next to the pool of the length that it is now, but we want it to be shortened to the side that's further away
But
from
it's
the
got to
pool.
be an appropriate location, though.
Yeah. But I mean, you were showing like a 12-foot stair. That was the appropriate location. Whereas I'm suggesting, and I think the board is looking, what we're interested in is a 4-foot stair that is not on the side of the 12-foot that's closest to the pool. It's on the side of the 12 feet. That's further away. Does that make sense?
I see what you're saying. Yes. It'd be
Yes.
further to the north. Further to the north,
It's in the same. It's in the same window of your stair. You're just taking that stair and you're shortening it to 4 feet instead of the 12.
You want a solid strip of 5 feet all the way, then the 4-foot stair.
Exactly.
I got it.
Good. I'm glad.
Okay.
Thank you,
guys.
Joe. Okay.
Good night.
Thanks, Joe. Have a good evening. Thank you.
You too.
Okay. So, council, should we pick that up next week to vote on that, or should we?
Well, we
can we
table it
consider-
until he submits the updated.
And then we'll do it. Yes, exactly. Good. Right. And then we can.
Then we'll put it on the next meeting and get it moving.
Right, and we can put that on quickly. That if it comes in, we can get that.
And if the planning, Eleni, if you can mention to Brian, when it comes in, if he can send it over to me, I can even to shorten things up, maybe help with Joel's frustration. I can actually prepare the proposed modification to be done that same night.
Good.
Okay.
That would be great. Thank you, Nancy Lynn. Okay, thank you all. Council, anything else from you on your end?
I think we handled everything. It's weird when we do it out of order, but I think
know.
we got everything.
Yeah, I think we look pretty good. Board members, anything? Comments, discussions, jokes, anything, board members? I think
Just
not.
a motion from the vice chair.
A
Excuse me,
motion
Chair,
from the
if I
vice
may.
chair sounds good.
Excuse me, Chair,
Therefore,
if I may.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to close the Town of East Hampton Zoning Board of Appeals hearing for October 20th at 8:24 PM.
Excuse me, Chair,
Second.
this is Mike at LTV.
Yes.
Can I just interject for
Yeah.
one moment? Just for the
Yeah.
record, just so you do know, there was some issues technically with our internet access, and when Joel was having that communication process,
Right.
the video itself froze. So when this is rewatched, there was about a 5-6 minutes where the video was frozen, but all the audio was there.
Oh, good.
And
I don't think they
present.
missed anything.
I'm just letting you know for record's sake, and that if you guys
Yes.
rewatch this, that you understand that, and that's all.
That's great. Well, thanks for telling us that, Mike. Thank you.
Okay, I concur the motion.
Okay, Terry and
Terry seconded it.
okay, I'm sorry. And I concur as well. Thank you all very much and have a nice evening.